When we say obstetric fistula, it is something very emotional. It is not something easy. It is something, that touching the dignity of the woman. Imagine that a woman who is isolated. It should be forgotten in Somalia. It should be something that we just tell the people as history, not as something that we are living with it. I'm Abdullah Yusuf Muhammad, the country director of physicians across continents in Somalia. Somalia has been doing primary health care services in Somalia, including ending obstetric fistula in Somalia. This is our core business in Somalia, whereby Somalia is one of the countries who has been facing a poor health care infrastructure. The case in Somalia is totally different when we talk about the primary health care services. That is why we have seen, when we arrived in Somalia, we have seen a lot of fistula cases at the beginning of the scenario. PAC started doing fistula campaigns in Somalia since 2014, and up to date we have conducted 9 obstetric fistula campaigns in Somalia. Over 100 women get benefited from that campaign. Actually, the thing that led Somali women face such kind of problem is, that lack of enough and adequate primary health care services in the country. You can't imagine, that seeing women facing this kind of problem. Actually, in the community, they are isolated. From the beginning, we didn't know actually that there is a need or there is a gap in this area. But we remember that one day we realized it within our health facilities that some of the women, they have obstetric fistula, and there is no any treatment center in the country. Then we said, let us now do something fistula in Somalia. The first campaign, we said, let us start as a campaign now in Somalia. The first campaign that we conducted, it was in 2014. When actually we said that we are going to conduct obstetric fistula in Somalia, many people, they didn't know about fistula, what is obstetric fistula. They don't have that kind of knowledge and awareness of the fistula. Not only, that the knowledge of the fistula, but even having a treatment for fistula. Then we start, mobilizing our campaign in the country. We actually got a few number of women in our center at that particular time, because what we have realized, according to the evidences that we have, the women were, that the women in Somalia did not want to talk about their problem. Even they did not have that kind of getting themselves in the health care and looking for the services. We received very few number in the first campaign. And in the second campaign, we conducted double number of what we have conducted in the first campaign. Why? Because the people now, started, coming to the health facility, seeking for the treatment. It is not something easy. It is something, that touching the dignity of the woman. Imagine that a woman who is isolated, a woman who cannot contribute, that in family gatherings, who cannot come to the weddings and public, that gathering. It is painful, actually. That is why we say that let us continue. What we are doing is actually what is needed for the community. The whole fistula scenario are all of them, cases. It is touching the human life. It is touching, the normal life of the women. That is why many of the cases that we received in our health center, actually they have different scenarios in terms of their, a life style with the community, in terms of the way even they look for themselves. Actually, it was not easy. I remember one of the cases that we have treated in our health center. She was very young and she married at the age of 17. And then, that with the first baby, she developed fistula. Then, unfortunately, she was divorced, and even that her family left her because that at the beginning even they were not comfortable with the marriage, and then she was alone. Actually, she was alone for around 8 years. For her, she didn't know that there is a service. For her, she didn't know one day that that she can get the normal life again. Actually, when we sit down with her and when we treated her, you cannot imagine how she was happy and the feelings that she was feeling. So I hope that one day we will end the obstetric fistula in Somalia. I hope that one day, that we will again forget about the fistula in Somalia. It should be forgotten in Somalia. It should be something that we just tell the people as history, not as something that we are living with it. We first start with the registration. We register the patients through the health facilities, because we have focal point in each area in Somalia, in the regions. They register the patients and then they send the registration to our health center in Mogadishu. After that, after we get a big number of registration, then we go to the further preparation of the campaign. We receive doctors from Sudan, who are capable and who are international doctors, obviously, and they came after they come. They are the one who is doing the campaign. Further to that, we also have a focal point, national fistula focal point, who coordinates all this kind of collaboration, who also communicates with all health partners who are working in Somalia. From that, we will have a direct communication with the patients, and most of the cases or most of the patients will normally come from the far area. So we will have a direct communication with them. We provide them transportation from their villages up to the center. Some of them they come through the airplane, and some of them they come through the local transportation. So most of the patients that we receive in the center, actually they are coming from poor family. So we provide all these arrangements by ourselves. Actually, we have a lot of challenges to achieve our goal in ending fistula in Somalia. One of the biggest challenges, we do not have any local doctors who are capable to do the fistula in Somalia. Sometimes what happens, that some of the patients, they cannot come, to the capital city of Mogadishu. They are in the rural area. And the problem, that maybe there is no any accessibility, maybe there is some restrictions. So it will be very difficult for us to take the international doctors to those areas. If we have a local doctors who are capable to do, they can easily go. They might have a better accessibility than the international doctors. The other thing that we also, that face fistula is not easy actually. It needs a lot of support. It needs a lot of collective collaboration in terms of funding, in terms of awareness, in terms of social reintegration activities, in terms of psychosocial support. So after the treatment, even that we have some challenges in terms of those are treated in the center for them to get enough, awareness to go and reintegrate to their community again. That is actually one of the challenges that we have in Somalia.